Your mind is the most powerful and creative force you will ever possess. It is the invisible workshop where every idea, every plan, and every dream is born. Long before a skyscraper touches the clouds, it exists as a vision in the mind of an architect. Long before a book changes lives, it exists as a thought in the mind of a writer. The same is true for your dreams. They must be conceived in the mind before they can be constructed in reality. When you truly grasp that your mind is the factory of your destiny, you begin to understand that you are never a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of your own future. The thoughts you choose to entertain each day are like the raw materials in that factory. If you fill your mental space with doubt, fear, and limitation, the factory will produce a life that reflects those ingredients. But if you fill it with belief, vision, and faith, you will produce a life that mirrors your greatest desires. Everything you see in the physical world is nothing more than the result of an idea someone refused to let go of. The chair you're sitting on, the phone in your hand, the buildings you pass every day, all of them began as invisible images in someone's mind. The same process is at work in your life, whether you are conscious of it or not. Your current results, your career, your relationships, your financial situation, they are all the outcome of previous patterns of thought. This is why two people can grow up in the same neighborhood, with the same background, and yet one lives in limitation while the other achieves extraordinary success. It's not luck, it's not fate, it's the deliberate use of the mind. Most people live as though their minds are on autopilot, letting their environment dictate their thoughts. They allow news headlines, other people's opinions, or their current bank balance to decide what they will think and feel. This is like running a factory without a blueprint, producing whatever comes to mind, without care or intention. But when you become aware that your mind is the factory of your destiny, you take control of production. You become the designer, carefully selecting the images and beliefs you will allow to occupy your mental space. You guard your thoughts the way a jeweler guards precious stones, because you know they are shaping your future. The mind operates on two levels, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is like the manager of the factory, deciding what thoughts will enter. It has the power to accept or reject any idea. But the subconscious mind is the production floor. It cannot reject anything. Whatever the conscious mind accepts and emotionalizes, the subconscious begins to build into reality. This is why it is critical to control your focus. If you constantly focus on obstacles, your subconscious will produce more of them in your life. But if you focus on opportunities, progress, and solutions, your subconscious will find ways to make them real. You must also understand that your mind works best when it is given clear, specific instructions. A vague dream produces vague results. If you tell your mind, "I want a better life," that is too indefinite for the factory to work with. But if you say, "I am building a successful business that earns me $100 zero a year while helping people improve their lives," you have given your mental factory a blueprint it can begin constructing. The clearer the picture, the faster and more precisely it will be built. There is no limit to what your mind can create except the limits you impose on it. If you constantly tell yourself that something is impossible, your mind will shut down all pathways that could lead to it. But if you train yourself to think there must be a way, your mind will work tirelessly to find solutions. It will connect you with people, ideas, and circumstances that align with your vision. The factory never stops running. It is always producing something. So your only real choice is whether you will let it produce by default or by design. This is why belief is the master key to creation. Your mind cannot produce anything you do not first believe is possible. Belief is the fuel that keeps the mental machinery running even when external results have not yet appeared. Without belief, the moment you face a challenge, you will abandon your dream. But with belief, challenges become part of the process, temporary delays, not permanent defeats. Belief keeps the blueprint intact, even when the construction site looks empty. Every great achievement in history was first a fantasy in someone's mind, often ridiculed by others. The Wright brothers believed they could make a machine fly, even though the entire world thought it was absurd. Thomas Edison believed he could create a practical electric light, despite failing thousands of times. These individuals understood that the mind's factory does not stop because of setbacks. It continues producing until the vision is complete. They refused to feed their minds with thoughts of failure, choosing instead to feed it images of the finished result. Eventually, the physical world had no choice but to match the mental picture. Your mind is working the same way right now, whether you are aware of it or not. It is producing your future based on the thoughts and beliefs you feed it today. If you want a different future, you must give your mental factory a different set of instructions. Replace doubt with faith, fear with vision, and limitation with possibility. Build your mental image so vividly that it feels real before it has even happened. Speak about your dream as if it is already yours, and act in harmony with that belief. The more you align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with your dream, the faster the factory will bring it into form. Circumstances are often seen as the deciding factor in a person's life, but the truth is that they are only a reflection of what is happening inside your mind. People will tell you that their lack of money, education, or connections is the reason they cannot succeed, but those are not the real barriers. The real barrier is a lack of belief. Belief is the invisible force that moves mountains, opens doors, and changes what others say is impossible into something achievable. You can take two people with the exact same background, place them in the exact same environment, and their lives will unfold completely differently depending on the strength of their belief. One will see the challenges as reasons to quit, while the other will see them as temporary detours and keep moving forward. That difference is not luck. It's the power of belief outweighing circumstance. When you believe deeply in your dream, the external world starts to bend in your favor. You see opportunities where others see obstacles. You find solutions where others see dead ends. It's not that your problems disappear, but rather your perspective changes in a way that makes you resourceful enough to handle them. A person with belief can be faced with closed doors and still find a window to climb through. They understand that life does not respond to complaints, it responds to conviction. Belief acts like a compass when you are lost. When the road is unclear, belief keeps you walking toward your vision instead of retreating into your comfort zone. Without belief, even the smallest setback can feel like the end. But with belief, even the largest challenge becomes a stepping stone. Think of people who have risen from incredibly difficult beginnings, those who grew up in poverty, faced discrimination, or endured tragedy, yet went on to achieve extraordinary things. They did not wait for perfect conditions to start. They started with what they had, where they were, and they believed they could create something better. That belief fueled the actions that eventually transformed their reality. It is easy to forget that belief is not something you are born with fully formed. It is something you cultivate. At first, you may only have a small spark of it. You might not know exactly how your dream will happen, but you hold on to the idea that it can. Each time you take action toward your goal and see even the smallest progress, your belief grows stronger. And as your belief grows, your ability to rise above circumstances grows with it. People often say, "I'll believe it when I see it." But those who change their destiny live by the opposite principle, "I'll see it when I believe it." Your outer world is simply a mirror of your inner world. If you wait for proof before you believe, you will never take the kind of bold action that creates proof. Belief must come first. It is the seed you plant long before you see the tree. Negative circumstances have no power over someone who refuses to let them define their future. If you are in debt, but believe in your ability to create wealth, you will start finding creative ways to increase your income and manage your resources. If you are in a job you dislike but believe in your capacity to do something meaningful, you will start taking steps toward building a career you love. On the other hand, if you allow your circumstances to dictate your belief, you will stay stuck exactly where you are. Belief is not blind optimism. It is a decision to focus on what is possible instead of what is wrong. When belief outweighs your circumstances, something else happens. Your energy changes. People are naturally drawn to someone who carries themselves with conviction. They can feel that you are certain about where you are going, and they want to be part of it. This attracts resources, partnerships, and opportunities that might have been invisible to you before. Belief radiates confidence, and confidence is magnetic. The stronger your belief, the more the right people and situations seem to appear at just the right time. Circumstances are temporary. They are like the weather. They can change in an instant, but belief is the climate you create for your life. If your inner climate is filled with doubt, fear, and limitation, it will be difficult for anything positive to grow. But if your inner climate is filled with faith, resilience, and determination, your life will reflect that abundance no matter what storms pass through. Your belief shapes how you respond to difficulties, and your response shapes your results. There will always be people who tell you to be realistic, who measure your potential by what they see around you instead of by the vision within you. But realism is just another word for limitation when it ignores the power of belief. The truth is, many of the most significant breakthroughs in history came from people who were unrealistic enough to believe they could change the world. They did not let their current reality decide their future reality. They let belief lead the way, and then they acted in alignment with that belief until the circumstances changed. When you decide to let belief, not your present situation, be the driving force in your life, you begin to access a part of yourself that is limitless. You stop asking, "Can I?" and start asking, "How can I?" That single shift in thinking opens more doors than you can imagine. You stop waiting for the perfect timing and start creating the timing. You stop needing the approval of others to move forward because you have already approved of your own vision. Would you like me to now expand key point 3 in the same style and length so the flow of the speech remains consistent? Negative feelings are an unavoidable part of the human experience, but they are not a final verdict on your life or your potential. They are signals, not life sentences. They are messages from within, pointing out that something in your thinking, your environment, or your actions needs attention. The problem is that most people interpret these feelings as signs that they should stop pursuing their dreams. They treat fear as a wall instead of a warning light, doubt as a dead end instead of a detour sign. When you understand that negative emotions are temporary indicators rather than permanent realities, you stop allowing them to dictate the course of your life. Fear, doubt, worry, and discouragement often show up when you step outside of your comfort zone. This is natural because your mind is wired to protect you from the unknown. The moment you try to do something new, your mind scans for potential risks and sends you feelings designed to make you pull back to safety. But safety and success rarely live in the same place. If you only act when you feel comfortable, you will never reach the level of growth your dream requires. Recognizing that these feelings are simply part of the process allows you to face them with courage instead of retreating from them. Negative feelings are like warning buzzers in a machine. They don't mean the whole system is broken. They mean you need to check what's happening inside. If you feel anxious about a goal, it might be a sign that your thoughts are focused more on potential failure than on potential success. If you feel discouraged, it might mean you are comparing your progress to someone else's instead of your own growth. The feeling is the indicator, and your job is to investigate the cause rather than to shut down the entire operation. The truth is that feelings are created by thoughts, and thoughts can be changed. A single shift in perspective can turn fear into excitement, doubt into curiosity, and frustration into determination. For example, the nervousness you feel before a big presentation can be reframed as the energy of anticipation, the same adrenaline that athletes use to perform at their peak. The disappointment you feel after a setback can be reframed as feedback, a valuable lesson that will make you more prepared for the next attempt. The moment you realize that your feelings are not in control of you, that you are in control of the thoughts producing them, you gain the ability to choose how you respond. Many people try to suppress negative emotions pretending they don't exist, but this only gives them more power. The better approach is to acknowledge them without giving them authority. Say to yourself, I feel afraid, but fear is just a sign I'm moving into new territory. Or, I feel discouraged, but this is simply a reminder to adjust my strategy. By naming the feeling and identifying its purpose, you strip it of its power to paralyze you. You turn it from a master into a messenger. Another important truth is that negative feelings often surface right before a breakthrough. When you are closest to a significant change, your old patterns fight the hardest to pull you back. This is why so many people quit just before they achieve something remarkable. The discomfort becomes intense, and they mistake it for a signal to stop rather than a sign that they are about to level up. If you can hold steady in those moments, pushing forward despite the emotional turbulence, you will discover that the feelings eventually fade and are replaced by confidence and momentum. You must also be aware that negative feelings are contagious. If you spend time around people who constantly complain, criticize, or speak with fear about the future, you will absorb that emotional energy whether you intend to or not. Protecting your mental environment is as important as protecting your physical health. Surround yourself with voices that encourage you, remind you of your potential, and see possibilities where others see problems. This doesn't mean avoiding all negativity at any cost, but it does mean being intentional about what you allow to influence your mindset. At the same time, it's essential to build emotional resilience. Resilience is the ability to experience negative feelings without letting them derail your actions. You strengthen it the way you strengthen a muscle, by working through challenges instead of avoiding them. Each time you act in spite of fear, your resilience grows. Each time you keep going after a disappointment, you prove to yourself that you can handle more than you thought. Over time, you become less reactive to emotional swings because you trust yourself to move forward regardless of how you feel in the moment. Negative emotions can even become allies if you learn to interpret them correctly. Fear can sharpen your awareness and help you prepare better. Doubt can drive you to seek more knowledge and refine your skills. Frustration can push you to innovate rather than settle. In this way, what once seemed like obstacles become tools for growth. The key is to stop judging yourself for having these feelings and start using them as information to guide your journey. When you shift your relationship with negative emotions, you stop seeing them as proof that something is wrong with you or your dream. Instead, you see them as part of the natural rhythm of growth, temporary weather patterns that pass through your inner climate. You learn to navigate through them, to keep your vision clear even when the emotional sky is cloudy. You begin to realize that your destiny is not decided by how you feel in any given moment, but by what you choose to do in the face of those feelings. Visualization is one of the most powerful tools you can use to turn your dreams into reality, because it allows you to create the future in your mind before it appears in the physical world. Everything you desire already exists as an image in your imagination, and the clearer and more detailed that image becomes, the stronger the signal you send to your mind and body to act in alignment with it. When you visualize, you are essentially rehearsing your success before it happens. You are giving your mind a clear set of instructions, much like a blueprint given to a builder, and the subconscious mind immediately begins working to make that picture real. The mind operates in pictures, not words. When you think of your dream home, you don't see a list of specifications. You see the walls, the furniture, the colors, the feeling of walking through it. This is why visualization is so effective. It speaks the language of the subconscious. When you repeatedly see yourself living your dream, the mind begins to treat that image as familiar and attainable. It stops seeing it as a fantasy and starts accepting it as your reality. Once your mind accepts something as real, your actions naturally align with bringing it into existence. Athletes have used this principle for decades to achieve extraordinary performance. Olympic champions visualize every movement, every detail, and every sensation of their event before stepping onto the field. By the time they compete, their bodies are simply following a mental script they have rehearsed countless times. You can apply the same process to your own dreams, whether they involve building a business, creating a lifestyle, improving your health, or achieving any personal goal. When you visualize with emotional intensity, your brain doesn't distinguish between what's imagined and what's real. It responds as if you've already experienced it. The key to powerful visualization is detail. You cannot just vaguely imagine being successful and expect dramatic results. You must see it as if you are living it right now. If your dream is to speak in front of thousands of people, imagine the stage lights, the sound of applause, the expressions on the audience's faces, the confidence in your voice, and even the warmth of the microphone in your hand. Engage all your senses. What do you see, hear, feel, smell, and taste? The more vivid the image, the more real it becomes to your mind, and the faster it begins to influence your beliefs and actions. Visualization is also more effective when paired with emotion. If you simply think about your dream mechanically, it will remain a lifeless image. But when you add emotion, excitement, gratitude, pride, you give that image energy. Emotion is the fuel that drives the subconscious mind to act. This is why it's important to feel as though your dream has already happened while you visualize it. Feel the joy of achieving it, the relief of overcoming obstacles, the pride of fulfilling your potential. The more you can feel the emotion now, the more your mind will work to create situations that match it. Another benefit of visualization is that it programs your mind to notice opportunities you might otherwise miss. When you hold a specific image in your mind, your brain activates the reticular activating system (ROS), which filters the information around you to focus on what's relevant to your goals. Suddenly, ideas, people, and resources that can help you start appearing in your awareness. They were always there, but now your mind is tuned to recognize them because they match the image you've been feeding it. Visualization also helps you build the confidence to take action. When you repeatedly see yourself succeeding in your mind, you become more comfortable with the idea of success. This reduces the fear of the unknown because your mind feels like it has been there before. You are no longer stepping into unfamiliar territory. You are simply stepping into the reality you've already created internally. This makes it easier to take bold actions that align with your vision, even when external evidence hasn't yet caught up. Some people dismiss visualization as daydreaming, but the difference lies in intention and repetition. Daydreaming is random and fleeting. Visualization is deliberate and consistent. Daydreaming leaves you feeling wistful, while visualization leaves you feeling empowered and ready to act. The more often you practice it, the more deeply it embeds your vision into your subconscious mind, and the more natural it becomes to live in alignment with it. To make visualization a daily habit, set aside a few minutes each morning or evening to close your eyes and immerse yourself in the mental movie of your dream life. Play it in your mind exactly as you want it to happen. If your goal is financial freedom, imagine logging into your bank account and seeing the balance you desire, walking into your dream home, traveling to the destinations you love, or making a difference through the causes you support. If your dream is about health and vitality, imagine yourself running with energy, looking in the mirror and loving what you see, feeling strong and capable in every movement. When you visualize consistently, you begin to bridge the gap between your current reality and your desired reality. The mind starts aligning your thoughts, decisions, and behaviors with that vision automatically. You find yourself taking steps you might have hesitated to take before, meeting people you need to meet, and discovering ideas that move you forward. What started as an image in your imagination becomes the script for your daily life. The more you live in that vision internally, the sooner it becomes your external truth. The moment you change the way you think, speak, and act, you begin to shift the course of your life. Your destiny is not carved in stone. It is shaped every day by the patterns of thought and behavior you choose to accept. Many people live their lives on autopilot, repeating the same routines, reacting to the same problems, and carrying the same beliefs they have held for years. This repetition creates a cycle, and as long as the cycle remains unbroken, life remains the same. A paradigm is simply a collection of habits and beliefs that govern how you see yourself and the world. When you shift that paradigm, even in a small way, you open the door to a completely different future. Every breakthrough begins in the mind. If you believe you are limited by your background, education, or circumstances, your actions will reflect that limitation. But if you decide to believe you have the ability to create something new, your actions will begin to align with that belief. It is not just about positive thinking. It is about rewiring the mental program you have been running for years. This change might begin with a single decision to stop speaking words of defeat, to stop dwelling on past failures, to start seeing yourself as capable instead of incapable. That one decision sends a ripple effect through your entire life. When your paradigm shifts, you see opportunities that were invisible to you before. You begin to notice different choices and respond to challenges in new ways. The person who once said, "I can't afford this," begins to ask, "How can I afford this?" The person who used to think, "That's impossible for someone like me," begins to think, "If others have done it, I can do it too." These small changes in thought may seem insignificant in the moment, but they are like turning the wheel of a ship over time. They change your entire direction. Your words are also a powerful part of this transformation. Every time you speak, you are reinforcing your beliefs to yourself and to others. If you constantly speak about how hard life is, how unlucky you are, or how things never work out, you are cementing those ideas into your subconscious mind. But when you speak words of possibility, strength, and vision, you are programming your mind to expect and create better outcomes. Language is a tool for shaping belief, and belief shapes action. Action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. A shift in your thinking without a shift in your behavior will not create lasting change. When you adopt a new mindset, it must be followed by new habits. This might mean waking up earlier to work on your goals, surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, or eliminating activities that waste your energy. These changes might feel uncomfortable at first because they disrupt old patterns, but that discomfort is a sign of growth. Changing your destiny is not about waiting for the perfect moment or the right conditions. It is about creating the right conditions through your choices. You do not need to have the entire path mapped out before you start. You only need to take the first step in the new direction. As you move forward, more of the path will reveal itself. This is why people who decide to make a change often experience a surge of clarity and opportunity shortly afterward. The act of deciding shifts their focus, and focus determines what they notice and attract. The environment you place yourself in plays a significant role in reinforcing your new paradigm. If you are surrounded by people who constantly remind you of your limitations, it will be difficult to maintain your new perspective. But if you immerse yourself in environments that reflect your vision, whether through the people you spend time with, the books you read, or the information you consume, your new mindset will grow stronger. The mind adapts to what it is exposed to, and by exposing yourself to ideas, images, and experiences that align with your dream, you make that dream feel natural and achievable. It is important to remember that a paradigm shift does not always happen overnight. Sometimes it is the result of consistent effort, challenging your old beliefs day after day until they lose their grip on you. There will be moments when the old way of thinking tries to pull you back, but if you persist, the new way becomes your default. Over time, you look back and realize that the person you used to be, the one who doubted, hesitated, or felt trapped, is no longer in control. The moment you truly commit to thinking, speaking, and acting differently, You begin to send a new signal to the world. You are no longer living by the script that was handed to you by your past or your surroundings. You are writing your own script. And each day you live according to that script. You move closer to the life you have envisioned. This is how destinies are rewritten, not by chance, but by choice, by the deliberate decision to align every part of yourself with the future you want instead of the past you have known.